Welcome to our daily Forex market analysis call. This is in preparation for trading on August 25th, 2017. Just a quick disclaimer before we get started. This is for educational purposes only. If you have questions about your individual investment needs, I recommend you talk to your investment advisor. We'll start off as usual with our calendar here. In terms of the news that we had, not a whole lot of news. We just had home sales numbers for the US, employment numbers came in line with expectation, and the GDP number here came in line with expectation, and that actually pushed the British pound up, or even going into the GDP number, prior to the GDP number, market sentiment was kind of positive for the British pound. So that pushed the British pound up. But other than that, not a whole lot. The big thing today was the symposium, the Jackson Hole Symposium. So this is where the central bankers get together and they talk about the monetary policy. That's why it's so important. So coming up, we have two main things that will happen tomorrow. One is Fed Chair Yellen is speaking, and then we have ECB President Draghi is speaking as well. So anytime we have central bankers talking, there is usually volatility in the market. In terms of the news here, we just have the core durable goods orders and German IFO business numbers. So those are important. However, the main thing will still be the Jackson Symposium. And when there is something like that, a conference going on, usually it's the comments that come out of it. It may not even be the speeches. So tomorrow we do have the speeches, which will put pressure on the market. So right now, even though ECB President Draghi has said that he's not going to really make any sort of decisions or kind of announcements around monetary policy, asset purchase program reduction for tomorrow. However, market is still driven by sentiment. They're positive on euro because market is expecting ECB to start cutting back on their asset purchase program, which means tightening the monetary policy, which will means positive for euro. So that will be what they're looking for. And for Yellen, again, they're looking for balance sheet reduction. That will be the main thing. And other than that, so if there's any commentary or anything that the market sees as negative, if they talk about, we'll look at the data, we'll wait and see, that type of thing, market will take that as a negative, and that will be negative for the US dollar. So keep that in mind. Overall, though, we have, going into it, we have US dollar has not really fared that well. Euro has done quite well. So we'll start off with Euro US dollar here. So what's happening here is Euro has been trading in this range for the last 2 weeks now. So right now we pushed into the high. So I'm looking for price to come down a little bit, and as the comments kind of come out of the Jackson Hole Symposium, if there are bullish comments, then this could get pushed up higher and even test the highs into 1.1900, or even potentially go to the other side if depending on how the market sees it. So I think there'll be a lot of volatility in the market tomorrow. It's best to, either not trade. So you have two types of volatility coming in. One is just because of summer months, and second is with the central bankers. So as a result, I think liquidity will be low in the market. That means the volatility will be exaggerated. My recommendation is not to trade tomorrow. However, if there are good setups, you could take it, but just be very careful and manage your positions. Keep them small. That would be my recommendations. But overall, this looks like it may kind of trickle down towards the bottom here. If it comes into 1.1700, we're looking for a push to the upside. So just looking for price to stay in the range until Draghi speaks, and then we could see the price reaction based on his speech. Pound dollar here. Pound dollar is a very neutral close on the day here. We did go to test the highs here at 128. 35 level, this previous support resistance level. Price has dropped since then, and it did go lower, but right now it's right in the middle. So basically what that means for us is as long as price stays below 128.35 level, we are bearish on this and looking for further move to the downside. But again, tomorrow anything could happen because all kinds of different comments could come out, and it's not just about the comments either. It's a market interpretation of the comments that could be very important. So for now, I'm bearish on this, looking for price to stay in this range here between 128.35 to the top and 127.50 to the bottom here. So this is where we are. As we can see with our 4-hour chart here, price is looking bearish right now. So it's into, sorry, excuse me, it went into the pivot point. So we're looking for it to come down a bit here. So here we are looking for price to push down a little bit, but for the last 2 days, price hasn't really done much. It's just been sideways. So as long as it stays below 128.35, we are bearish. The target will be 1.2750 to the downside here. Aussie here, Aussie showed rejection of this level. So this big pin here shows a rejection of 78.60 level here. And in this case right now, again, markets have gone range bound ahead of the symposium and speech from Yellen and Draghi. Now, Draghi's speech won't really have that much of an impact. It would really, basically, if Draghi's speech comes in hawkish or the market thinks that it is hawkish, all the US dollar crosses will go up, but euro will likely go up more than Aussie would, for example. But other than that, it will really be dependent on Yellen's speech, what she says, and that will drive all the US crosses tomorrow. So, excuse me. In this case here, we could expect the price to go, based on the daily close, I would expect the price to go higher, but it could come test this level once again. So 78.60 level, the price move that we may see could be something like this. So price pushes lower and then goes back up, goes to the top, 79.50, and comes back down. So essentially, I'm looking for a range-bound move unless something crazy happens like one of the speeches. New Zealand here. New Zealand dollar is actually more bearish than Aussie is. We saw a bearish close, then we have a further move to the downside. Now we are into this support level right here, this previous support level that we were looking at yesterday. At this point, excuse me, it is bearish, and once the price breaks through this 71.94 level, we're looking for it to come down into 71.50. So the target will be 71.50 to the downside. But do keep in mind, it could go and test higher here. It could go into 72.30 or even 38-ish level, so top of the spin. But overall, this looks bearish and looking for price to, as we can see, it's pushing lower here. So if you were to go to our 1 hour, so if we look at this, it is giving us that descending triangle. So it looks like it wants to push lower. So this looks more bearish than Aussie is. So this is what we could see, and then a pullback into 71.94, and then a further drop if the price sustains itself. But overall, this is more bearish than the others. Excuse me. Dollar CAD here. Dollar CAD is bearish. We saw that it held for 3 days. It held below this level, and today's move here was bearish. We're looking for further move to the downside. 124.80 is the target in this one. So here we are. As we can see, price is making lower highs, and it is kind of trickling down. Not a lot of momentum. I think today it was just a lot of back and forth as opposed to really trending moves today. It was just a lot of chop, sudden movements, and that is normal with our August trading here. Okay, so this is Euro Swiss franc here. We have very neutral close for the day. So we had a pin, we have second pin. This generally means with a downward sloping trend line here generally means that it may come lower. Now, because Draghi is speaking, any of the euro crosses will be impacted by his speech. So just keep that in mind. Overall, based on the daily close, though, I would be looking for a bearish move on this one. It could pull up into the trend line. So I'd be looking for something like this. Price pushes up and then drops further. And in this case, the target would be the bottom of this pin. That will be the first target here, 1.1350. And then further down, we are likely to come into this 1.1320, so 1320. So 1350 is the first target, 11320 will be the second target to the downside, but I'm looking for further move to the downside. Pound Swiss here. Pound Swiss, even though this is a green candle, it does show rejection. So as long as price stays below this 123.80 level, we are looking for a move to the downside here. So this is the type of move that I'd be looking for. It is maintaining its bearish bias, even though there was some bullishness in pound across all pound crosses today. So 123.80 will be the resistance level that I'd be watching. So I will look for a pullback into that level and then a drop further here. The target would be 1.2300. Okay, dollar Swiss franc here, very, very neutral close for the day. This one here, it could go either way. There is rejection here, but there's rejection up at the top as well. So this is very neutral. So in this case, it could go either way. So we just have to be open to direction on that. Pound yen, all the yen crosses had big moves to the upside here. So for now, yen has had, so we talked about this in yesterday's call, yen has had a big move to the downside. So it makes sense to see some retracements. But as long as price stays below this level here, see this support and resistance here, that's an important level. So as long as price stays below 140.50, it could go down lower. And the first target in this case would be 139.20 level, and then a 13900 level. So those will be the two targets to the downside. But if the price breaks through this 140.50, then we are looking for price to move up higher into the top of this pins, or even into, so 140.120 will be the target to the upside if the price manages to break through 140.50 level. So that's what we need to watch out for. As long as it stays below 140.50, we're looking for a further move down. Otherwise, but where it is currently, we have to be careful because it did close bullish for the day. So we could see that continuation of the bullishness and see a deeper pullback here, which would make sense because we've had a huge move to the downside. So it will make sense that price could do that. So watch out for that. Euro yen here, that is quite a bullish move here. So this looks bullish at the moment. We are into resistance though. So we are into resistance. So keep that in mind. So if the price stays below 129.40, then we could see the price come lower, but this close is quite bullish, so this could go higher. So especially with Draghi's speech, if it's hawkish, everything will be hawkish across the board for the euro. Okay, Aussie yen here. So Aussie is into resistance here as well, which is this previous support and resistance. Price had held below this, but it's kind of range bound for the last few days. Hasn't really done much. So in this case, it is a bullish close on the day, But again, because as long as price holds below this 86.80 level, it could go towards the bottom of the range. So this one is more of a range-bound trade than anything else. So this here, 86.80 or even 8700 here is the top of the range, and the bottom of the range is 8600. So between the two, I'm looking for price to go to either direction. So this is bullish, so I was looking for price to go up higher, and once it gets to 8700 or 8680 level, looking for price to get rejected and then move back lower. So keep that in mind. But again, Japanese yen is one of those currencies that can be quite volatile. So keep that in mind. Here as well, range bound, this is dollar yen, range bound for the last few days. Bullish close for the day, but again, it is into resistance here, so 109.80. So 109.80 will be that decision point where if the price goes above that, excuse me, then it opens up this next target into 110. Available for us, otherwise, or 110.90 level here. If not, if it stays below 109.80, then we're looking for a move down towards the bottom of the range, and for that is approximately 108.70 level. So price needs some sort of a trigger to move out of that range. It's just trading sideways. Euro pound here. Euro pound was bullish. So let me just see. So overall, euro pound is bullish, but today's close was very, very neutral. Didn't really do much. So right now, it looks like it's pushing up higher. So in this case, we are looking at this range here now. So generally, when we see an indecision candle after a bullish candle like this, the first thing I tend to look for is price to kind of come down lower. And the reason for that is that gives us our evening star formation. But that is just something that we look for. It doesn't mean that we just take a preemptive approach to it and start selling it, because it could break through to the other side as well. So I'm going to mark these two levels, 90 to 30 to the upside, 91.60 to the bottom here. So as long as it stays above 91.60, it's going to maintain its bullishness. But what that means is that it could pull back into this level here. So if it doesn't break below this level, or if we don't get an engulfing candle close for Friday, then we're looking for a further move to the upside. So this is very neutral for now. Euro Aussie, it's gone sideways as well. Excuse me. But we did see a little bit of euro weakness. So we do have a little bit of a pin bar here, not a very strong one, but a pin bar nonetheless. So when we get weak pin bars like this, it could fail. So just keep that in mind. But overall, when we get a pin bar, I'm looking for a move to the other side, so to the bottom here. So I'm looking for price to come back down into 1.4850 level, and then potentially bounce off of this level here. So looking for a move to the downside in Euro Aussie. Japanese CAD yen. CAD yen, a very bullish close for the day. Canadian dollar has been quite strong lately. So this one here, it is bullish for the last little while here. It's been making lower highs, and now it's broken through this 87.35 level. So the next target here would be 87.75. Excuse me, 75 level to the upside here. So the CAD yen looks bullish right now. Let me see if I can find better charts. Let's take a look at gold. Gold going sideways. So this is exactly what happens coming into a major event. Market will start to go sideways, just waiting for that particular event to happen. So right now, this is where we are. This support and that the resistance. So 1295.11 to the upside, 1280 to the downside here. But the longer it stays flat like this, so right now it seems to be compressing. So the longer it compresses, the higher the chances that it will drop. So keep that in mind, and we are into this previous resistance level here. So this is a strong resistance level all the way from April. It tested in April, May, and now we are testing it again. So if it stays below this 1295 level, and the longer it stays below the 1295 level, the higher the chances that it's going to come lower. So right now, bearish close for the day, but it's just sideways. It doesn't really have any true direction at the moment. It's just waiting for some trigger. Copper, excuse me, copper was very bullish today. So when copper and gold are bullish, generally Australian dollar will be bullish as well. So that's really why we need to keep track of copper. So if copper stays up, we're likely to see Aussie stay stronger here as well. Let's take a look at pound Aussie. So pound Aussie has been holding below this 1.6280 level right about here. So in this case, we have rejection, looking for a further move to the downside in this one. We could have, in terms of the pullback, this looks like a good level, 1.6230-ish level over here, and then a further move to the downside. So that looks good. Pound is overall bearish at the moment. So if copper stays up there and gold just kind of holds its own, we are likely to see something like this. So this is what I'm expecting. Price to push up and then a further move to the downside. It could go a little bit higher and go test the same pins once again. So in that case, 1.6260 level would be a good level to watch as well, because it could give us a potential selling opportunity. So I will be watching this level. So that's pound Aussie. And pound CAD. Pound CAD looks bearish because CAD is bearish. CAD has been slowly but steadily been going lower here. So we have lower, lower, and bearish. So we're looking for a further bearish move to the downside here. In this case, 1.5950 would be the target to the downside here. Pound New Zealand. New Zealand has been weak in itself, and right now this is bullish. So we are into this strong resistance here because price has reacted multiple times at this level. So this is a strong level, 77.99, so about 7,800. So this will be a good test for pound New Zealand. If the price breaks above that level, then we are looking for a further move into 1.7920 level. However, if the price does not break that level, then we are looking for a reversal here. So we could see price come down into 1.7680 level, but between the two or three, pound Aussie, where's my pound Aussie? Pound Aussie, pound CAD, and pound New Zealand. So pound CAD looks the most bearish at the moment, followed by pound Aussie, and then I wouldn't even, and then pound New Zealand will be the third one after that. All right, any questions, anything to add? Okay, perfect. So that's it. So we'll call it a wrap, and I will see you guys tomorrow then for our members only webinar at 9:30 a.m. Eastern tomorrow. Have a good evening, and I'll see you tomorrow.